even that number has already exceeded the number of the previous year. As we say, one death on our roads is too many, Madame Speaker. Mais en fait, aujourd'hui, le comportement de certains automobilistes sont, si je puisse faire une comparaison, comme ces internautes qui démontrent une agressivité sur les réseaux sociaux. Et c'est malheureusement une tendance très dangereuse au niveau de notre société. Madam Speaker, the penalty point system, let us be blunt, it was an utter failure when it was introduced back in 2013. Et permettez-moi, pour étayer ce que je suis en train de dire, de citer l'extrait d'un hebdomadaire le week-end du dimanche 30 novembre qui écrit ceci, avec un titre qui dit « Pourquoi le permis à points de 2013 a échoué ». Et on retrouve dans cet article...
C'est un article récent?
Oui, très récent.
Très
oui, c'est article. On se sert des termes tels que c'est un système trop lourd, des points mal enregistrés, transmission lente, dossier incomplet, suspension erronée, application illégale d'un district à un autre district, contestation, et le ministre en a fait part, des chauffeurs professionnels. Et voilà un peu ce que disait cet article, Madame la Présidente. Unfortunately, nothing in the present bill offers a solution to all the reasons of the failure of the penalty point system back in 2014, and therefore we are simply going backwards. Now, during the previous mandate, Madam Speaker, whether we like it or not, considerable progress had been achieved with regard to road traffic. For example, road safety was introduced in the school curriculum from grades 1 to 6. We all firmly believe that education is key in changing this mindset of oh la loi that presently we see on our road. But unfortunately, I have to raise an issue in this House, Madam Speaker, to the attention of one and everybody, but especially to the Prime Minister. And somebody has brought that to my attention, Madam Speaker, of somebody who has been convicted for numerous traffic. I'll refer to some of those traffic offenses where he has been convicted. For example, convicted on a 6th occasion of one or more offenses under CRTO, disqualified for all types of vehicles for 2 years, failing to give notice for non-renewal of motor vehicle license, failing to give particulars of driver, exceeding speed limit by not more than 15 kilometers per hour, failing to produce driving license on demand, insurance vignette not affixed, exceeding speed limit by more than 15 kilometers per hour, exceeding speed limit.
What are you citing to us, please?
Yeah, somebody.
No, yeah, but what are you citing exactly?
Conviction.
Conviction of somebody.
Yeah, for traffic offenses.
Okay.
Why I'm citing this? Because I understand that he's. Let me finish what I'm saying.
No, but
he has been recruited as an advisor in the actual government, Madam Speaker.
Oh, okay.
That's why I'm citing this. Otherwise, why would I waste the time of the House? Using a handheld microphone or telephone and set whilst driving. Failing to produce driving license on demand or photocopy they are. Failing.
Will everybody let me do my job? I don't mind your saying all this. Sinon, on se dit, vous parlez de n'importe qui. Moi, je ne sais pas.
That's it, Madam Speaker. That person I'm mentioning, he is an advisor of a minister in government.
Now you say.
Yeah, I've said
But when
that.
you started talking.
Okay, Madam Speaker, there is a long list of convictions.
Okay.
Okay.
Exactement.
No, Madam, I will not. Okay? I'll give it to the Prime Minister later.
And he says he's an advisor. So
He's
people
an
will think
advisor.
any minister's
Which
advisor, give us the name.
He's an advisor.
On a
in
point
which
of order, it's unfair.
In which ministry is he advising? If
Speaker.
that person was advising me, I would like to know.
He is an advisor in the Ministry of Public Infrastructure.
Okay, good. What I would suggest, Honourable Leader, is you've made your point. Can you please refer us to the documents that you've got and tell us where these documents emanate from? Is it public? Is it made public? Has it been made public? Il faut me dire. No, table it if it is authentic and it has been made public. Should, yes, table it if it has been made public. Nous, on n'a pas besoin de cacher les choses.
Whether it is 20 years ago, Madam Speaker, you cannot recruit somebody who has been convicted for so many offences. That's why I raised this issue whilst we are debating on the... Madam Speaker,
So what's happened now?
I'll continue.
Okay?
Now, another issue that happened and shocked everybody was the video of a biker overspeeding on the motorway and mocking a patrol officer on his way. And the Honourable Minister, I think he was wrong in doing that, decided to meet that biker. He should have left that to the competent authorities to deal with that biker.
You mean on a point of personal explanation?
The biker asked to meet me, but I did not meet him.
Okay. It was not a point of
Media
order.
that he met him. Now, Madam Speaker, with regard to drug abuse, necessary amendments were brought to the law to allow the police to detect drugs in the bloodstream or urine of a driver. And this was a major breakthrough in law enforcement. Now, at the beginning of the Honourable Prime Minister, in a reply to PMQT put to him by Honourable Kirin, mentioned that only for the month of January, 13 drivers have been tested positive to drugs. What I would have expected, what I would have wished, is that the Honourable Minister tells us up to now how many drivers have been tested positive to drugs. Madam Speaker, abolished today with this legislation. What we should know, that this system led to the cancellation of approximately 13 driving licenses over the past 2 years. At first, among 11 offences, a driver or motorcyclist ran the risk of suspension of their license if they committed 4 offences in a span of 24 months. The law, Madam Speaker, was amended in 2024 to add 12 more offences to this list, some of which I note have been included in the present bill, such as failing to give way when coming from a less important road and also taking part in a rally. And these inclusions, Madam Speaker, already existed in the legislation. 10 additional offences now have been included in the present legislation to reach, like the Minister had said earlier, a total of 33 offences. But let me, just one reference, let me refer to offenses 2 and 3 regarding headlamps and rear lamps during darkness, which I agree, Madam Speaker, is a hazard. But what if it happens while the person is driving? So he will now lose 4 points. And it seems to me this is very harsh, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we are now moving from a system where a driver or rider was allowed a maximum of 4 offenses from a list of 23 offenses in a span of 24 months to a system of points based on categories of offenses on a list of 33 offenses over a span of 36 months. Personally, Madam Speaker, I believe the present system has been subjected to some slight modifications and repackaged in order to give the impression that this government is acting upon the urgency of the situation on our roads. However, any new amendment should be a step forward, whereas I believe that these amendments bring us backwards. En résumé, Madame la Présidente, le ministre nous propose du déjà vu. Et avec l'attribution de licences graduelles qui figurait déjà dans... Now, the minister might argue as to why the previous government did not proclaim the 2024 amendments. Well, I can tell the minister, you've had 1 year, and yet you did not do it, waiting for some 112 deaths on our roads, and now you're proposing the penalty point system, which, like I said earlier, contains the same offenses, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the previous government was also coming forward with a driver and educative center. And I wonder what happened in 1 year on this project, since I understand that the land had already been identified. Now, with regard, and the minister mentioned that in his speech, with regard to fines that are on the way up. Now, considerable increase for certain offenses is present in the amendment brought to the House today. But let me remind the minister, because position bench, and when those fines were increased under the previous legislation, this is what they said, Madam Speaker. And I refer the Honourable Minister to what Honourable Boulel said when he intervened on the legislation during that time. And I quote, "With that substantial increase in fine, you might as well take my vehicle because the fines are so excessive. I won't be able to pay," end of quote. Another quote, Madam Speaker, "This is not the reason why the government has to rip off taxpayers directly or indirectly." Although I agree that we should increase the fines, Madam Speaker. Now, some who intervened at that time even suggested that this would provide police officers with excessive powers and the opportunity to abuse the system and take bribes in order for drivers to retain their licenses. Yeah, it is in the answer. That's why I'm quoting that, Madam Speaker. Madame la Présidente, la loi était suffisamment, à mon avis, sévère. Mais le problème sur nos routes est beaucoup plus profond. Déjà, notre flotte de véhicules sur nos routes est passée à 743 190 véhicules. Un record, on doit l'accepter, généré par la brillante idée de ce gouvernement d'augmenter la taxe sur les véhicules, soi-disant pour les rendre inaccessibles, entre guillemets, à une certaine classe, mais cela a résulté à un panic buying à la veille de la présentation du dernier budget. Avec une flotte de plus de 740 000 véhicules sur nos routes, cela nous fait en moyenne environ 250 véhicules par kilomètre de route, soit le double de la moyenne mondiale. Et qui dit plus de véhicules, Madame la Présidente, dit aussi une augmentation de la probabilité des accidents sur nos routes. Autre fait qui est intéressant, et je dois le souligner, ce qui concerne les bus électriques. Je constate que l'honorable ministre favorise ce programme. C'est-à-dire, on aura une flotte de véhicules de bus électriques qui nous vient de l'Inde, et de ce fait, dans cette démarche, cela nous permet de faire d'une pierre deux coups, c'est-à-dire d'utiliser l'énergie propre et en même temps encourager les Mauriciens à voyager par le transport public et de ce fait réduire le nombre de véhicules sur nos routes. Par contre, ce qui est navrant, Madame la Présidente, c'est de constater que le gouvernement ne va plus de l'avant avec l'extension du métro express, car cela aurait permis de diminuer davantage le nombre de véhicules sur nos routes et de ce fait les accidents. Mais Madame la Présidente, le problème le plus grave demeure cette fâcheuse culture de voyous sur nos routes. Cette tendance de certains automobilistes et motocyclistes de faire exprès d'enfreindre les règles sur la route. C'est pourquoi j'ai cité un peu plus tôt, Madame, le cas de ce monsieur. Comme je dirais, comme on dit dans le langage créole, Gaïnissa l'eau la route. Comme si les lois sont là pour ne pas les respecter. Et puis, se vanter autour de son entourage, comme ce motard que le ministre, il me dit maintenant, il ne l'a pas rencontré, et qui roulait, hein, il faut le dire, Madame la Présidente, qui roulait peut-être à plus de 150 km par heure sur l'autoroute. Mais je pense que ce n'est pas le permis à point qui va faire disparaître cette culture auprès des chauffeurs, car il faut tout de même qu'il y ait des contrôles de police sur nos routes afin d'intercepter ces bandits. Mais le constat aussi, Madame la Présidente, c'est que la situation du law and order dans le pays est déplorable. On aurait pu demander aux policiers de faire ce travail, mais ils sont surmenés en ce moment-ci et il y a un flagrant manque d'effectifs. Et en plus de ça, comme je l'ai dit, ils ont du pain sur la planche. Madame la Présidente, c'est l'ancien gouvernement qui avait adopté la politique de zéro tolérance sur l'alcool au volant, mais force est de constater que beaucoup échappent toujours à la loi et malheureusement, Madame la Présidente, c'est les innocents qui perdent leur vie. Permettez-moi, Madame la Présidente, de citer un jugement. Le jugement du Rocher en 2008 avait renversé une loi qui permettait à la police de suspendre le permis de conduire et avait statué que seul un magistrat avait ce pouvoir. Depuis, rien n'avait été fait jusqu'à l'amendement de 2024. Et j'aimerais que le ministre, aujourd'hui, considère cet amendement de façon a demandé à la Cour de suspendre immédiatement le permis d'une personne impliquée dans un accident fatal et testée positif à un alcotest ou à un test de drogue. Je pense que j'aurai le support de pas mal de membres de cette auguste assemblée dans cette démarche, et tout conducteur, Madame la Présidente, pris en flagrant délit, ne pourra pas reprendre le volant avant que la Cour ne rende son verdict. Madame la Présidente, Madame la Présidente, le Premier ministre, je me réfère à lui, comme il a fait des commentaires, avait même suggéré qu'il fallait faire saisir les véhicules de tels accusés. J'aimerais bien savoir combien de ces véhicules ont été saisis à ce jour, surtout après les tristes événements, par exemple, de Caen-le-Vieux et de Cité-la-Cure. Madame la Présidente, on ne peut non plus tolérer qu'une personne passe à travers les mailles du filet en invoquant le refus de se soumettre à un alcotest ou à un drug test. Tout refus doit être considéré comme un délit plus sévère qui devrait entraîner une plus grosse amende et pourquoi pas une perte de points considérable. Selon les statistiques, Madame la Présidente, les motocyclistes et surtout les jeunes sont les plus vulnérables. Peut-être que le gouvernement devrait considérer à revoir cette section de la loi qui permet à un mineur de conduire une moto avec un simple learner. Madame la Présidente, il est impératif aussi, ça je pense qu'on voit sur nos routes, de légiférer sur l'utilisation des scooters électriques. Je l'admets, c'est un moyen de transport pratique, mais souvent conduit sur les routes principales de notre pays par des personnes qui n'ont pas eu une formation adéquate et très souvent qui ne portent pas de casque, Madame la Présidente.
Là, tout le monde est d'accord.
Oui.
C'est pas fait pour
Ouais, s'ils sont d'accord, permettez-moi d'ajouter autant de choses, Madame la Présidente, qui sont absentes de ce projet de loi. Madame la Présidente, je suis assez sceptique par rapport à la mise en chantier de cette législation. Il y a chaque année en moyenne 1 350 000 décès dans le monde sur les routes. Nous sommes une petite île et pourtant le constat est aussi alarmant chez nous. Aujourd'hui, le gouvernement propose de revenir à un système qui a échoué avec les mêmes paramètres et les mêmes problèmes. Mais je ne veux pas être pessimiste, Madame la Présidente, car il y va de la vie de nos concitoyens. Et ce genre de sujet doit rester apolitique et l'intérêt supérieur de notre pays, de nos concitoyens, doit primer. Toutefois, Madame la Présidente, le ministre du Transport terrestre nous a beaucoup critiqué de son temps dans l'opposition. Aujourd'hui, c'est à son tour de gérer cette situation qui empire de jour en jour et je lui souhaite, pardon, Madame la Présidente, bon vent. Merci.
Merci beaucoup. Alors, nous avons Dr. Boulel, yes, was on his feet before I could see him.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I have listened, like all of us, intently to the speech delivered by the Honourable Leader of Opposition. I think about, so yes, some deliberately chose to be away from you, the Leader of the Opposition. I think overall he's been rather fair. His criticisms are well meant. One of his regrets is that we should have proclaimed the Road Traffic Amendment Bill moved by the then Minister Honorable Ganu in 2024. Other than that, let me remind the Honourable Leader of Opposition that this bill was not thrust upon us. It was a bill well prepared and moved by Honourable Minister who has a lot of miles to it. And as he has said, there was a special envoy of the UN Secretary General came to tender advice to us on road safety, and that his presence was largely due to the intervention of our Prime Minister. And let me state very clearly, when it comes to road safety and road security, we have no lessons to learn from the opposition. Exactly. If you may recall, in 1997, Prime Minister Dr. Navin Ramgoolam stated emphatically that the link road from La Vigie to Nouvelle-France should be closed because it was the corridor of death. Right? With its two lanes. Then, Prime Minister met, if my memory serves me right, the President of the EU Commission. And funding was obtained to turn this corridor of death into a dual carriageway to cater for the needs of motorists and to drive safely on a dual carriageway. So this is important, and it's good to remind ourselves of governance of a Prime Minister and his Deputy Prime Minister and all of us, that we are a government who acts in the interest of the public, and we put safety and road security first. And we will go through the provisions of the legislation of this bill. What is the main thrust? It's deterrent. And deterrence is high on our agenda. And it's a message which is being conveyed loud and clear to all road users. One should not forget that in his speech, when he moved his second reading, the then Minister of Land Transport and Light Rail reminded us that the road network as of April 2024 stands at 686,704 vehicles on our road. Earlier, the leader of the opposition stated that electric cycles have to be registered, but they have to be registered first and foremost to the National Land Transport Authority. It's going to be done. And this bill, Madam Speaker, has its merits, and the merits far, far outweigh any of the points that has been raised by the leader of opposition. And we were cautious. And I recall when we were discussing our electoral program, I think all our good friends would recall, it was an issue that was raised, flagged and flogged, and we stated very clearly that we are going to introduce penalty point system. And that was it. And I recall Honorable Anil Bechu was there. There was almost wide discussion. But the technicians who were with us highlighted the merits of penalty point system. And since the last 10 years, Madam Speaker, there has been progressive decline in road safety and security. And when we study and make comparative study and look at contrast, it stands to reason that the decision taken by the Honourable Minister with the support of technicians, after advice was tendered by Mr. Todd, penalty point system is the best. And I recall what it was when I was in New Zealand. In New Zealand, they have what they call the demerits point system. And the demerit point system is no different from our penalty system, and it is very effective. So, safety and security. As a loving nation, right, we have to look at priority. If we love our children, if we love our people, we have to make sure that safety and security is all-encompassing and rests largely on prevention, education, good infrastructure, fitness center, and we have to inculcate the values of responsibility on our drivers. Safe driving, click-clunk, but make sure that when there's a click-clunk of the safety belt, the message conveyed is safe driving, because we know what are the consequences. So, notwithstanding deterrence, but repeated offenders cannot get away with murder. Repeated offenders will have to bear their consequences. And when we look at the primary purpose of the bill, it's clear, it's to create an effective mechanism that promotes better, and the word better is there, better compliance with traffic regulation. And the ultimate goals of enhancing the safety of road users and encouraging responsible driving behavior. And the keynote is responsible driving behavior. The cumulative road traffic offenses introduced in 2015 was initially, of course, intended to improve road safety by disqualifying drivers after they committed a host of specific traffic offenses. But it failed to deliver, and we are yet to find out what are the expected outcome. The expected outcome is that there's been no outcome. And what is the outcome? That we had no choice but to ensure that we come up with the penalty point system. And despite the alleged best endeavor, several amendments were brought to the road traffic amendment bill then to look and to make the cumulative road traffic offenses harsher. And over the years, from 2018 to 23, there was the number of offenses required for disqualification was adjusted. So we are now introducing, and the minister has moved the bill, the Road Traffic Management Bill number 30 of 2025. And it is indeed a turning point. The penalty point system is effective deterrent, as I've said, especially for repeated offenders who risk having their driving licenses suspended or cancelled. But the good thing to note is that the proposed system is fair, transparent, and clearly outline the consequences of irresponsible driving. And the cumulative road traffic offences mechanism, which is still in place, operates as a reactive measure. Addressing offences on the of the driver has already accumulated a certain number of convictions. And this driving has shown its limits. The bill makes a vast difference. It encourages and reinforces disciplined driving. Compliance with road safety rules is vital. It becomes a legitimate reflex condition, and drivers have to act cautiously as a consequence of each traffic violation committed. Madam Speaker, I've said it, and it's good to reinforce it, that the penalty point system introduces an essential deterrent effect that the cumulative road traffic offences lacks. And its strength lies in the fact that the points assigned to a driver serve as a continual and visible reminder that any additional offence brings them closer to having the licenses suspended or cancelled. So the threat of losing the valuable privilege of driving acts as a powerful psychological motivator, prompting meaningful changes in driving behavior. Let us now look at the salient features of the bill, which have been stated loud and clear by the Minister, but it's good to reinforce some of them. And I will refer to the main features. The 33 offences will now carry penalty points as against 19 during the first deployment of the system. And there's no doubt the proposed system will be a more effective response to the rising traffic toll of fatalities recorded on our roads in recent years. And in the proposed bill, provision is made for a range of penalty points to be allocated to each offence instead of a fixed number of points. Moreover, when an offence is detected on the fixed penalty notice or the photographic enforcement device notice, reference shall be made to the lowest number of penalty points in respect of that offence. Whereas if a person doesn't agree with the fixed penalty point or the photographic enforcement device notice, he can go to court. That's as of right, and the court shall allocate the highest number in the range of penalty points if the person is, of course, guilty. This will encourage a speedy settlement of fines. I've heard that detection of an offence will be difficult if a driver has burned the traffic light, because the person will not be caught on camera, there's no camera sometimes at specific places. So this is going to be addressed. Now, the bill provides for penalty point certificate, and the digital version, of course, we have to move with constant breakthrough technology, the digital version of which can be accessed anytime on the MoCloud platform. And this is the essence of this bill, moving with technology and making it accessible to one and all, within the comfort of the room at the time when they're also worried, but at the same time enjoying our chair comfortability. Only a hard copy of the certificate duly provided and certified by the police will be against payment. Digital access to the certificate will allow the individual to better monitor the penalty points and adjust the behavior on the roads. The bill, as per Clause 9, allows for a permitted maximum number of penalty points. I think that was said by the Honourable Minister in relations for holder provisional license. It's 10 points, 15 for competent license holder, but all points will be valid for a period of 36 months. And the holder of an international driving permit will also be entitled to a maximum of 15 points. Madam Speaker, of course, a person who has been disqualified, and if we refer to Clause 9, the person has been disqualified has no choice but to surrender his license to the court, which shall be retained as long as the disqualification is enforced. Basically, what I'm saying is that this bill is very thorough. No stone has been left unturned, and credit goes to the experts and to the State Law Office to have prepared a bill which has substance, and a bill which not only will act as a deterrent, but it's a bill which has all its merits. Madam Speaker, let me refer to a PAQ which was put to Prime Minister. I'm not going to go over the fine because that will be spelled out, I'm sure, when the Minister will make his concluding remark. But there was a PQ with two supplementaries put to the Prime Minister by Honourable Omir at the last sitting. And Prime Minister replied, said it all. No retreat, no surrender over life and livelihood. We have a high incidence of road traffic accident. Enough is enough. Drink, drug, drive is not only an offence, but a serious misdemeanor, a serious crime. Madam Speaker, the purpose is not only to convey a message, but the message has to be received loud and clear. And there is, notwithstanding deterrence, but the provisions of the law are there to be applied as and when required in relation to offences and the gravity of the offences. Life is precious, Those who are victims suffer tremendously on all counts, and waiting for a case to be heard and damages to be paid is hell. This tragedy deserves to be addressed, and justice should not be denied or delayed. The court has been impressed to deliver a judgment within reasonable time. And we all know what it means for a wheel-bound victim to wait. One of the most important aspects of the legislation is the increase in the fines relating to causing death by dangerous driving or causing death by careless driving, which under the influence of alcohol, drug, or intoxicating substance, the sentence can be intoxicating substance from 50,000 to 100,000 rupees. The second or subsequent conviction will carry a maximum fine of 500,000. But the forensic scientific lab has to deliver. It has to be able to carry out the tests and tell with certainty and reliability as to those as to the level of drugs in the blood of the alleged offender. Madam Speaker, there are so many issues that can be raised and discussed, but let me make it clear that I have intervened to convey a message. That deterrence first and foremost, and if we are going to drive, make sure that we drive carefully. After all, we are here to protect life, and as a responsible government, we have moved a legislation which has substance, and the substance is there to safeguard and to protect those whose lives are important to all of us. Thank you very much.
Yes. Mr. Seaburn, Honourable Seaburn.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam the Speaker, it is with a deep sense of response that I rise today to speak in support of the Road Traffic Bill, a bill that introduces the long-awaited point-based system, a reform whose time has not only come, but whose importance can no longer be ignored, as it addresses an important issue that affects every road users and every family in our country, that is road safety. Madam the Speaker, in recent years, our nation has witnessed a troubling and persistent rise in road accidents. Every statistic is more than a number, sometimes a mother grieving the loss of a child, a family shattered overnight, or sometimes someone's future is tragically cut short, as stated by the Honourable Minister of Land and Transport. Madam the Speaker, these are matters of serious concern. These are realities for too many Mauritians. We must act decisively. We must reduce road death and serious injuries. Our road, once a symbol of connectivity and progress, are increasingly becoming space of danger, uncertainty, and loss. Madam the Speaker, the situation on our road demands honesty and boldness from all of us, including the leader of the opposition who made several observations on this bill, yet he did not express any disagreement. Road accidents in Mauritius are claiming lives, inflicting devastating injuries, thus leaving families and communities in grief. These tragedies carry not only emotional consequences, but also social and economic loss. Madam the Speaker, we must ask ourselves, are we prepared to remain silent, passive while tragedies multiply? Are we willing to tell our citizens that we saw the warning signs, yet we failed to act? The answer is no, Madam the Speaker. Today we are confronted with a simple duty, a duty to act before another life is lost. This amendment is a firm answer to that call. It establishes an effective framework for better compliance with traffic laws. It aims to enhance the protection of road users and foster a culture of responsible driving. Madam the Speaker, at the heart of this amendment is the reintroduction of the penalty point system, the permis à point. The reform establishes a structured approach that holds offenders accountable, a system that discourages repeat dangerous driving behavior. By assigning penalty points for traffic offences and suspending or restricting licenses when drivers accumulate too many points, thus encouraging better and safer driving behavior. This is a well-drafted legislation by the State Law Office introduced by the Minister of Land and Transport, which addresses nearly all the major issues. Madam the Speaker, the amendment promotes deterrence and promotes drivers' responsibility. By assigning demerit points to traffic offences, the system gives drivers a tangible accumulating penalty beyond one-off line. Knowing that repeated infractions can lead to license suspension or revocation, this will make careless drivers more cautious. Madam the Speaker, studies around the world have shown that drivers who approach the thresholds of license loss significantly reduce their probability of committing further offences. The system further helps to identify and remove repeat and high-risk offenders. It further gives the authority a tool to remove persistent, dangerous drivers before they cause serious accidents. Madam the Speaker, the bill reintroduces a modern penalty point system covering 33 different traffic offences. It is our duty as protectors of public safety to ensure that the system is adopted and implemented effectively. Our aim is to correct driving behavior and build a culture of responsible driving. We must ensure that the system will function, it will deter, and above all, save lives. It will further require a nationwide education campaign so that every citizen understands the 33 offences, how points accumulate, and how points can be redeemed through rehabilitation programs, thus making it fair and transparent. The reform introduces something crucial that has been missing for too long: a structured and transparent system of accountability, a deterrence against repeated violations, a behavior shift from impunity to responsibility, a national commitment for prevention over cure. Madam the Speaker, most importantly, it sends a message, loud, clear, and united across this House. The life of every citizen and every road user matters more than the convenience of reckless few drivers. Few accidents means lower burden on hospitals, less cost for insurance, and damages stronger social stability. Madam the Speaker, this is a government that does not wait for tragedy to escalate before acting. We are serious. This amendment tackles these driving behaviors by introducing consequences that change mindset and habits. If we are serious about reducing road accidents, we must confront the root cause and tackle the main reasons, which are speeding, drink driving, dangerous overtaking, driving while distracted over mobile phone use, ignoring traffic signals, among others. These causes high risk of road accidents leading to loss of life, serious injuries, emotional trauma for families, or even economic loss for the country. Madam the Speaker, the amendment is to deter reckless driving. It is to create accountability and encourage safer driving habits with a view to reduce fatalities and accidents. It is not about punishment, but rather about prevention and protection. The amendment to the third schedule now clearly assigns penalty points that ranges to 33 road traffic offences, grading according to seriousness from 2 to 10 points for the most dangerous violations. What does this tell us? It tells us that the law finally differentiates between minor offences and a dangerous act with casualties and death. For example, riding a motorcycle without wearing a helmet carries 2 to 4 points. Failing to give uninterrupted passage to a pedestrian on a crossing carries 2 to 4 points. And speeding beyond 15 kilometers, but not more than 25 kilometers above the limit, also results in a 2 to 4 points. While grossly dangerous conduct, such as dangerous driving, attracts the highest point penalties under the schedule. Madam the Speaker, some may claim that the system is too severe, but to answer it directly, a careful driver will never meet the limit of this system. And as Dr. Honorable Bullell earlier said, that penalty point system is the best system to address these issues. Madam the Speaker, the bill also offers a path of redemption. Drivers who accumulate 10 to 14 points may apply to the court for redemption of up to 3 points after completing a rehabilitation course, which may further encourage better driving culture. This shows that the amendment does not merely punish, it reforms, rehabilitates, and protects. Madam the Speaker, countries around the world have adopted the penalty point system, have claimed that it has worked. The system has helped to change driving behavior. It improved accountability and, most importantly, saved lives. Furthermore, international experience shows that a penalty point license, when embedded in strong enforcement education, can significantly reduce crashes, injuries, and death. Japan has used a point-based system for decades and as part of a broader and safer framework and help over long-term fatality rates with reduced accidents. Spain's penalty point system produced a clear reduction in drivers involved in road accidents with injured people. Australia also used a point-based system, and authorities have reported a decline in casualties during intensified enforcement windows. Israel's evaluation of a point demerit-based system showed large drops in violations and meaningful reduction in accident involvement among drivers. Madam the Speaker, systematic reviews confirm the approach can cut harmful outcome by around 1/5 when properly implemented. Today, our government proposes the same because we believe the safety of Mauritians are not negotiable. The reform places government of Mauritius on the right side of progress, aligning our laws with effective global standards. Madam the Speaker, let us be clear. It is a system designed to protect and not to punish. It is lifeline for families. It is a national necessity. The population wants the parliament to act. Citizens want safer roads with more responsible drivers and less road tragedy. Madam the Speaker, the law alone does not stop reckless driving, but consequences do. When you know that dangerous driving behavior on the road carries measurable personal consequences, that is penalty points, with the risk of driving license cancellation, you drive differently, you think differently, and you act differently. Madam the Speaker, this is a listening and caring and responsible government doing what is right. The people watching us today in villages, towns, homes, and hospitals do not want symbolic gestures. They do not want politics as usual. They want action, responsibility, and protection. They want to know that this parliament has listened, and today we are answering them with prevention, responsibility, and leadership. The greatest right we can protect today is the right of every road users to reach home safely. Let this parliament be remembered that we collectively choose to save lives on the road so as to make a safer and better Mauritius. The bill is the most significant step in a decade towards safer road, responsible drivers, and a more disciplined society. It requires support of the House with conviction and unity, and with this shared belief that every life lost on our road is one life too many. Madam the Speaker, with these words, I thank you.
Great, thank you. Yes, Honorable Henriette Mano.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I shall be short, but I hope to the point. A life lost on our roads is a stark reminder that every journey we take carries responsibility, not certainty. This is what makes this amended bill before this August Assembly today so crucial. Our roads have claimed far too many lives, inflicted deep pain on families, and created havoc across our society. As decision makers, we cannot stand aside and simply watch and pray. Action is imperative, and I commend this government for taking decisive steps and addressing the issue with the urgency it demands. A new approach was needed. A new approach is being proposed. Bravo to the Honorable Minister and his team. The Road Traffic Amendment Bill is an important legislative reform aimed at modernizing our traffic regulations and strengthening road safety. Rodrigues welcomes this reform, but again, it must be adapted to the unique realities of our island. Over recent years, Rodrigues has seen a significant increase in the number of vehicles on the road. Despite this growth, we remain one of the regions with the lowest number of serious road accidents. On average, in recent years, up to 2024, Rodrigues has recorded between 175 and 200 road accidents per year, including around 4 fatal accidents in 2024, the highest number of deaths by road accidents registered over the last 5 years, in a specific year being 6 recorded in 2021. These numbers are relatively low compared to the mainland Mauritius. However, we have still experienced tragic road fatalities, reminding us that safety can never be taken for granted. With the rise in traffic, especially two-wheelers, we must anticipate future risk. That is why we welcome measures that aim to strengthen, control, and discourage those who intend to disregard the road traffic code. One of the most important elements of this legislative reform is the strengthening or introduction of a point-based driving license. A point-based driving license promotes responsibility and encourages prudence on road. It sanctions dangerous driving fairly. Those regular offenders are deterred from repeating these offenses. It encourages safer behavior without penalizing responsible road users. And it educates, as it is mentioned, that offenders whose license had been suspended need to follow road safety classes before being submitted back their driving license. For roadways, this system is particularly relevant, as it acts as a preventive tool, deterring speeding and reckless driving, especially driving under influence of alcohol or intoxicating substances, and it acts as a fair mechanism even on our small island. However, for the system to work properly, enforcement is capital. To ensure effective enforcement, our traffic officers must be better equipped. This means equipped with modern speed radars, have reliable communication tools, have vehicles adapted to roadways topography, and regular specialized training. A law cannot be effective if the officers enforcing it lack the appropriate tools. Roadways cannot be left with insufficient enforcement capabilities. A point-based license without proper control would be a law in principle, not in practice. Now, no one disputes that Rodrigues has a challenging topography, winding roads, narrow bends, several sections passing through villages and rural areas. This makes high speeds naturally unsafe. But this does not mean that the current speed limit, capped at 50 km per hour, should remain frozen in time. That limitation was set many years ago and does not fully reflect the evolution of our vehicle fleet, nor the improvement of several road sections and the current mobility needs of our people. In many areas, the limit has become outdated, and people are being sanctioned unfairly. Visitors as well as Rodriguans often question this limit. With the introduction of penalty point system, it becomes even more unfair. I therefore propose a measured and sensible revision of speed limits differentiated according to road category. But again, Any increase, even a modest one, must go hand in hand with stronger enforcement. Another persistent issue affecting road users in Rodrigues, far more than on the mainland, is the presence of unattended animals on the roads. Only last week, a road accident occurred as a result of cattle crossing the roadway. It is therefore imperative that such situations, which is defined as offences under the Road Traffic Act Part 9, Section 156, be clearly redefined to include animals left unattended, and that the offences is accompanied with more strict penalties, increase in fines, for example, and better enforcement in order to deter livestock owners from allowing these incidents to continue. Too often, owners face no consequences, enabling these violations to persist with complete impunity. Lastly, I cannot discuss amendments to Road Traffic Act without emphasizing the urgent need to upgrade our existing road infrastructure and construct new roads, so that all Rodriguans can enjoy road facilities similar to those in the Republic. The ORA, all regional government up to now included, has done their best with the resources available. But I appeal to the central government to continue its support, as there are still critical roads in Rodrigues that need to be built to connect citizens to essential services. For example, in Ansfemi, residents who own vehicles often have to leave them miles away from their homes due to the lack of proper access roads. Madam Speaker, honorable members, Rodrigues remains one of the regions with the lowest number of serious road accidents, as I stated. And this is an achievement we must protect. But the rising number of vehicles, the growing use of two-wheelers, and recent tragic accidents are clear signals. We must strengthen our legislative framework and enforcement. I therefore request that the Act be adopted, but to include those amendments to the Road Traffic Act mentioned, which are specific to Rodrigues. Only then can we truly ensure safety, support development, and guarantee that mobility goes hand in hand with responsibility for every Rodriguan. With these words, I support the bill submitted to the House.
Very good. Before you were born, there was no vehicle on the road. Exact, only one. Anyway, and people used to walk for long distances. They were very fit. Yes, the next speaker, Honorable Jagannath, yes.
Madam Speaker, thank you to give me the opportunity to debate in this August Assembly on this bill. I rise today as a backbencher of the government with a solemn responsibility to support the Honourable Minister and the policies of the government, while also giving voice to the legitimate concerns, aspiration, and expectation of the constituents who have entrusted us with their mandate. My duty is not merely to endorse, but to contribute, to refine, to question, and to propose improvement that expression the Road Traffic Amendment Bill before us. Road safety is not a theoretical matter, it's a national necessity. Every statistics represents a family devastated, a life interrupted, a future altered. The reintroduction of the penalty point system is a step toward creating a culture of responsibility and discipline on our roads. A culture that many nations such as UK, Singapore, Australia, Ireland, and other countries have successfully cultivated. But for such a system to succeed in Mauritius, it must inspire confidence, Madam Speaker. It must be firm, but also fair. It must discipline repeat offenders without unfairly punishing those who make honest, isolated mistakes. Take, for example, the offense of failing to wear a seat belt. While the safety imperative is unquestionable, the sanction must be proportionate. I propose that the first offense attract a warning or fine, reserving penalty point deduction for repeat offenses. This progressive approach mirrors the best practice of several jurisdictions and avoid alienating responsible drivers who may commit an unintentional lapse. Madam Speaker, a similar logic applies to minor mechanical defects. A citizen may leave home with all light functioning, only for a rear lamp to fail due to the vibration or poor road safety condition. Should such a driver immediately lose points? If safe city footage can confirm that the lights were functioning earlier, Madam Speaker, then justice requires that such evidence be admissible. It is not leniency, it's fairness. This brings me to a broader inconsistency. The law rightly penalizes speeding, yet a vehicle fitness inspection, the accuracy of the speedometer, central to speed compliance, is not systematically verified. How can we demand strict adherence to speed limit if the very instrument used to measure speed is neglected during fitness checks? Legislative coherence demands that the system supporting enforcement be reliable are the penalties we impose. Honourable members, modern law must be supported by modern tools. Madam Speaker, I agree with the Minister. He takes on board the partnership with the Ministry of Technology to introduce a dedicated national road safety mobile application. Such an application provides real-time access to penalty point status, notify drivers of mechanical issues detected during inspections, facilitate access to road safety footage for legitimate defense, centralize payment of fines and bookings of fitness inspection, store digital vehicle document and dashcam footage, enable enrollment in rehabilitation program. Countries leading in digital governance, Estonia, South Korea, and many other countries have demonstrated how such platforms improves transparency, efficiency, and public trust. Rehabilitation is another indispensable pillar. International experience shows that education reduces repeat offences more effectively than punitive measures alone. The bill provision allowing drivers to redeem points throughout structured rehabilitation courses in a progressive initiative that deserves full support. Honourable Madam Speaker, the bill is commendable step, but like any legislation, it benefits for refinement. With the improvement proposed, proportionate penalties, technological safeguard, legislative consistency, and digital innovation, we can build a road safety framework that is both firm and just, modern and human. I therefore express my full support for this bill with the conviction that the amendment proposed today will will be considered by my colleagues to serve our citizens and make our roads safer for all. Thank you, Madam. And I also note that the Honorable Leader of the Opposition is agreeable part with us. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Yes, Ms. Tanu.
I believe that
It's up to you.
Oh, sorry, apologies. It's my first time for this. So we need to move.
You move. I move.
I move that the House be adjourned, please. Thank you.
No.
To Friday.
No. You move
Oh, right, sorry.
for the
Madam
adjournment
Speaker.
of the debate.
Thank you. Madam Speaker, I move for the adjournment of the debate.
Okay, who's seconding? Okay. The question is that the debate be now adjourned. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. So the ayes have it. Yes, Honourable Prime Minister.
Yes, Madam Speaker, I beg to move for the adjournment of the House to Friday, the 12th of December at 3:30 p.m.
Yes, the question is that the House be, the question is that, let me get it straight myself. That the House be adjourned to Friday, the 12th of December at 3:30, right? 3:30 p.m. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. We were taken by surprise. This House stands adjourned. There's an adjournment matter. There's an adjournment matter. I promise. Just a few minutes. I promised. Miss Colette. Please go ahead, Miss Colette.
Merci beaucoup, Madame la Présidente, et rapidement, avec votre indulgence, je souhaite soulever un problème et adresser une question à l'honorable ministre des Technologies de l'Information, de la Communication et l'Innovation. À Rodrigue, le numérique offre de nouvelles opportunités de communication et d'ouverture sur le monde, mais il expose aussi la population à des risques. Le cyberharcèlement et la désinformation fragilisent la confiance, alimentent les divisions et menacent la cohésion sociale. Dans une île isolée, où les ressources pour contrer ces dérives restent limitées, le défi est clair. Profiter des avantages de la connectivité tout en protégeant la communauté, surtout notre jeunesse, contre ces dangers. Il nous faut promouvoir l'unité et la sécurité dans notre île. Je souhaiterais demander à l'honorable ministre s'il peut indiquer, s'il compte envisager des mesures afin d'assurer la protection de nos citoyens en ligne pour Rodrigue et pouvoir mettre fin à la désinformation et violence numérique. Merci.
Merci, Monsieur le Ministre.
I thank the honourable member for this question. The issue of cybersecurity, misinformation, disinformation and malinformation is a global issue. And we all know that just like many other developed countries are facing that problem, so is Mauritius and so is Rodrigues. So the whole Republic is facing that problem. We actually connected Rodrigues to the digital map of the Republic through the Mars cable. And we are very glad today that there are different connectivity options, including low Earth orbit satellites as well, which we added as part of what we are doing at the Ministry of Information Technology, Communication and Innovation. We have an online platform for reporting cybercrimes, Madam Speaker. And that platform earlier, while we captured the data, the statistics for the whole Republic, we did not differentiate from those reports that were coming out from Rodrigues for issues specifically for Rodrigues. Just yesterday, we actually amended that application so that when somebody from Rodrigues is reporting a case of cybercrime, that person will have the opportunity to indicate that the report is coming from Rodrigues. This will enable us to collect data and we can then devise policies which are evidence-based. So this is the first point. The second point is that we also intend to create some ambassadors who can, in turn, sensitize our people in Rodrigues, especially our children. And statistics has it that most of those people who suffer from cybercrime, they happen to be women, as we stated last week at the Parliament. Therefore, we will, actually during the month of January, we intend to have a campaign for Rodrigues, and that campaign will focus on child online protection, along with protecting the rest of the society. We hold at heart the interest of Rodrigues, and the legal amendments that we intend to bring will be applicable to Rodrigues Island as well. And together with the Prime Minister, the Honourable Prime Minister, we are working on a strategy which can help not only reduce cybercrime, but also help resolve cases of cybercrimes faster. Madam Speaker, this is my response to the question raised.
Thank you. Thank you. May I ask those who want to help me tomorrow, Mr. Roukni, anybody who wants to help me tomorrow with a debate on human rights, which is the last day for the 16 days, please to come and see me immediately so we can know what to do tomorrow morning. Thank you. Now House is really adjourned.